Today's video is about the 3 biggest mistakes I see from new players in multiplayer when they're playing vampire counts. Now, before you're like, that's stupid, blah, blah, blah. Dude, I don't know. I keep seeing it, so I needed to make a video about it. Number 1, if you are going to take skeletons and zombies at the same time, I generally would suggest against it because you are using 2 chaff units to be chaff units. But if you insist on taking skeletons over zombies, there are a couple instances where you can make that work. What does not work is piling up like this. Using skeletons on top of zombies does not help you at all because the skeletons will get stuck at the back of the zombies and they'll slowly filter their way towards the front line. But in the meantime, while your skeletons are trying to get to the enemy front line and your zombies are blocking your own skeletons from getting to the skinks, your opponent could be using wind spells like Pendulum, Burning Head, Vangeist's Revenge, something like that, and getting 2-for-1 value on your skeletons and zombies, just making it easier to kill off your front line. I will use a Wind of Death on myself because I can't rely on the AI to do that. But let's see, we've been fighting for a little bit here. So where are the skeletons? If you click on the skeleton warriors, they're highlighted in green. They're still not even to the front line yet. So nothing has changed about having these skeletons here. The zombies are still doing all of the fighting. Meanwhile, you could be getting Burning Headed or Wind of Death, and the Wind of Death is going to get twice the damage value as you stand around doing nothing. So grouping up your skeletons on top of your zombies does nothing for you. It doesn't help your frontline fight at all. So now, if you are insisting on bringing zombies and skeletons at the same time, I would recommend against it. But in case you do, there are 2 ways you can make this work. One is if your zombies are here to take a significant portion of damage in lieu of your skeleton warriors taking it. For example, dwarves with their minus of blasting charges take the blasting charges on your zombies, and then you could you can either continue to saturate the front line with the zombies and have the skeletons go around, or like I do in this example, after you take the blasting charges, just run away with the zombies and have the skeletons charge forward, and now the skeletons can get a clean engagement on the now blasting chargeless miners. Your zombies can pull back to a corpse cart or get some healing or something, or they can start to wiggle their way around and harass rangers on the back line or something. But now you don't have 2 forces on the same front line, and you didn't clump up or let your skeletons get hit with those blasting charges. So if you are insisting on taking skeletons and zombies, and you're not going to just have the zombies take a specific instance of damage to protect your skeletons, the only other way to make this work, instead of layering them and blobbing up on the front line, is to go incredibly wide. Now, the AI here is being a little stupid, leaving their rangers on the front line, but as you can see, I can wrap around the back with extra skeletons and zombies and intercept any retreating units, or get a good flank off onto the miners or blasting charges, or something like that. This is the only way to make skeleton and zombie hybrid front lines work. Layering them on top of each other is just asking for a disaster, and I only bring this up because I keep seeing it. So either send them in one after the other, or wrap up your opponent. Don't blob up. A vampire counts video and you're showing Scarbrand. This is madness. Yeah, a little bit. So there's a discussion of monsters, and this will get back to vampire counts in a second, I promise. But there are certain monsters that can get thrown into melee with Longbeards and Ungrim Iron Fist, for example. You throw them into melee, they stay in melee, and all they want to do is get into melee. They'll do okay, they'll do all right. They'll kill Ungrim Iron Fist, and eventually they'll kill the Longbeards. We'll do some fast forwarding for that. Now, I promise I am showing you this for a reason, but we can see he dumpsters Ungrim Iron Fist, kills him, and then can sit in these Longbeards and fight it out. Good for you, Scarbrand. Good for you. Huzzah! He won. Nice job, Scarbrand. 1800 value. Cool, 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 cool. Back to vampire counts. So if you want a similarly costed giant monster, you could get a dragon with a vampire lord and a zombie summon. Now I drop a zombie summon behind my Longbeards to be fair to the example I'm trying to do, so my zombies will distract the Longbeards as I go fight Ungrim Iron Fist. Dun 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 dun, sure, this is gonna go great. Oops, I'm taking a lot of damage, and Scarbrand is a little better at fighting. I'm gonna die, maybe trading even with Ungrim Iron Fist. Well, let's go kill some Longbeards before I die. Whoop, whoop. Oops, my charge attack doesn't do any damage, and my splash attack doesn't do any damage. Summon more zombies to save my life as I try to path out. All right, let's try cycle charging. Ooh, wow, I am really not doing any damage to those Longbeards. And Ungrim killed me. What could I possibly be saying is the second most common mistake I see from vampire counts players? I don't understand. So the second mistake that all that lead up was for is dragons are not melee monsters. Let that sink in. I know that's a weird concept, but they're hybrid monsters. You are not paying this amount of money for a big thing to jump straight into combat and die. You have 3 very, very important breath attacks to making this mount option work. That is what this mount is to do. Dragons are terrible at clearing out infantry. They are pretty terrible in general at killing single entities. Depends on the dragon, but especially the vampire counts, dragons are not that great at killing single entities. They are about using their breath attacks and charging. You cannot throw these guys into a bad fight and just die. We did no damage to the Longbeards in melee. Oh boy, a breath attack nearly one-shots them. Against Ungrim Iron Fist, we did okay in melee before. I'm going to try and land on these guys, try and shock them out of here and just take them out of the fight so I can fight Ungrim all alone with my zombies. But the Longbeards are a little stubborn, so they hang on with like 3 leadership. Ungrim shows up. I want to path out of here soon. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Path out. Get up into the sky. Try and use a breath attack on Ungrim. Bug out mildly. For some reason, he couldn't. He was obstructed. I don't know why that was, so I couldn't do it, so I just had to reset quick. Breath attack Ungrim for free. Plus hit his little Longbeard some. Yeah. Reduce his melee attack before diving back in with my noxious gas. And then I do also summon on top of the Longbeards again. But the psychocharging is going significantly better for Manfred than just diving him in to die. And that's because he's not Scarbrand. You can't do that. Like, I see this way too often in multiplayer, or honestly even in campaign. People end the game with all 3 of their breath attacks for the dragon. They haven't used them, and I'm like, well, then you haven't used the monster. Why did you take it if you're not going to use the breath attacks? That's like half of what this thing is. Dragons are not that good at combat. As we can see, Ungrim is still beating the crap out of it. But overall, Manfred is going to win the fight because he's properly using his breath attacks and psychocharging. Oops. I do leave him in with Ungrim too long because I forgot. I was like, I got what I wanted out of this, and then I just AFK. But yeah, it went way better when he used his breath attacks. He'll never be Scarbrand, and you can't use him like Scarbrand. You can't just dive in and melee for a while. That's not what dragons do at all. Use those breath attacks. If you end the game with 3 breath attacks left, I'm coming over to your house and I am slapping your keyboard. Just your keyboard, not you. That would be assault, and I would go to jail. But your keyboard, I can slap that. The third and final mistake I see from a lot of Vampire Counts players, this also applies to a lot of demonic factions, but it is using your flying units to save your ground units. Don't do that. That is the exact opposite of what you should be doing. Now, for this example, we have 2 Vargeist and we have 2 Skeleton Warriors. Now, I see this a lot. Before you say, obviously that's wrong. Well, apparently a lot of people keep doing it and they need to stop. So, on the advance, the Vargeists are going to fly over the Slayers and try and dive onto the Quarrelers to shut them down as the Skeleton Warriors advance. Because the thinking is, well, the Quarrelers will be shut down so they can't provide damage while my Skeleton Warriors get in free and clear. They didn't take any damage on the way in. Yes, but Vargeists and Furies aren't free, so you're driving 1,000 gold or 650 gold in onto these Quarrelers to shut them down for a brief moment while Slayers or, you know, other Rangers shoot at you. Miners with blasting charges if you have Furies, or if we're talking about a different faction like Wood Elf Wild Riders jump in onto these guys. And your Skeletons were never even close to the fight. They didn't get here. And you've lost your flying units, you've lost your damage, and guess what? The Quarrelers are now free and clear to shoot at you anyway. We see this a lot, and it needs to stop. This is not the correct way to use Vargeist. It's not the correct way to use Furies. It's not the correct way to handle a ranged faction as the Vampire Counts. So instead of using 2 1,000 gold damage-dealing flyers to protect 2 300 gold skeleton chaff, what you should do, and what you see a lot of good Vampire Counts players do, is you position far enough away that the Quarrelers or whatever you're going after can't hit your Vargeist, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and you accept that yes, your skeletons are going to get shot at. Yes, your skeletons are going to take some damage on the way in, but you also need to accept that that is what they are for. And as they get shot, now your Vargeists move in, and all of a sudden the units that are available to peel, the Slayers that were there to save the Quarrelers last time, they are now peeling your Skeleton Warriors, because they have to. It's not like the Slayers can just stand around and wait for your Vargeists, or the Skeletons will just walk up and get the Quarrelers. So they have to make a bad decision. They have to eventually fight your chaff units, and then your Vargeists can jump in for free. Now obviously this is the AI, and the AI is being a little dumb. Players would be a little quicker to respond, but you can see the vast difference. We're still going to lose 2 Skeleton Warriors, but I'd rather lose 2 Skeleton Warriors than 2 Vargeist. And when I lost 2 Vargeist, I didn't even kill the Quarrelers. This time, we get to kill the Quarrelers before the Slayers show up, and I can get back in the sky and get to safety. That is a by far better way of doing it. This applies to vampire counts, but I also see it a lot with Khorne, Slaanesh, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and the Demons of Chaos, when people just chuck their Furies into the enemy ranged units right away to try and stop their infantry from taking any damage on the walk-in. Nah, dude, your infantry is meant to take damage. Your flyers need to come in as the melee is starting, so the enemy front line is busy, or the enemy cavalry is busy, or something like that, and shut down the ranged units once and for all, rather than spare you a little bit of pain at the start of the game.
Subscribe, yes, yes.